Hey campers, Georgia, back in the man cave. Looking at some knives I got in a mail call. You know, the 3-state mail call. Yep, one's a toothpick, I think, and the other one, well, it's definitely a fisherman. Let's check him out. So what I'm talking about here is two toothpick style fisherman Texas toothpicks that I got in a mail call that had 3 states in it. I didn't know I'd had mail and I wasn't alerted to it, and ended up having 3 in 1. So I decided to do them all together. And I believe these 2 came from Dwight in Kentucky. And he sent me these 2, and I've got to tell you, 2 of the nicest old knives I've seen or now own. Obviously, this one here, you can see it here. Beautiful handle, okay. Very nice. Okay. Nice and thin, solid. No clamshell or anything like that. And look at the handle, very cool. And then this one, which is a personal favorite, is a Fisherman. And you can see it here. Has the yellow handles. It has the Fisherman blade, obviously with the bottle opener, scale, nice long toothpick. And look at the shapes on these 2. Very distinctive. See how they come to that sweeping point? Very nice. This is an Imperial, and I believe Texas toothpick. And this little guy here is a Camillus. Fisherman. There you go. You know, this one got me. Now, they're both in very good condition. They can, you know, be shined up, but the blades, the shape, the handles are all in excellent condition. And what I want to do is clean them up. But then I saw a picture which made me think, you know what? I think I want to do that too. And it is to make sheaths for them. I found a picture of this guy with the original sheath it comes with. Yeah, it came with a sheath. So let's look at these 2 knives, see what they're all about, clean them up, and sheath them. So the first one we're talking about is this guy here. And as you can see, it has that very distinctive shape. Most people, when they see this knife, me included, will go, oh, Fisherman, right? Well, something I haven't seen a lot of lately, it's not. It's just a plain single blade knife. And we all know that they call this the Texas toothpick, right? It has that very distinct handle shape, and then of course this huge sweeping clip. You see that? Huge. Comes up to a very nice little point there where the toothpick name comes from. And the blade is not deep. It's very thin and allows you to get a really good point on it here. And you have a huge sweep edge here for cutting. Very slicey, very nice. This is a slip joint, and it doesn't have the half stop. You can see it has good snap on it. No problem there. The spring, very good condition. It's got the brass liners, and of course the bolsters, your metal bolsters, full, solid. It's not a clamshell. And of course the handle. Now this one has, you can see, it's that plastic, maybe even celluloid. I don't know what the material is. I'm just going to say plastic. And looking it up, interesting. I believe they called us the mustard swirl, something like that. It was very interesting. They make them in different, obviously, handles. You get the black stag imitation. You just get the plain handle, but this one has this. And the tang stamp on this guy, I'll show you that right there. You can see all it says is Imperial Prov RI, which is Imperial Knives, Providence, Rhode Island. That particular, here it is here, tang stamp, and that means that this guy is from about 1936 to 1952, I believe. Very cool, really good condition, very thin, beautiful knife, got a bit of weight to it. You get used to the clamshells, don't have that weight on them, but this is a very, very nice knife. Carbon steel blade, it has that long nail pull on it. Now, I said Texas toothpick, and it's also known as a tickler. Where that comes from, I'm not sure, but they refer to them as either a toothpick or a tickler. Very distinctive, very distinctive. Now we got this guy here, and this is the Camillus Fisherman. This is the single blade version, and when you look at it, it looks just like a Texas toothpick or a tickler, except the blade has this obvious bottle opener on it, cap lifter, whatever you want to call it, and it has the scale remover on the top along the spine of the blade, that distinctive blade again, that long sweep, nice long cutting edge, can get a very nice point out of it. As a fisherman, if you catch and cook, this is perfect for cleaning. You can get a really nice slicey cut out of it if you sharpen it right. And you know how that is hit and miss for me. But it is a single blade tickler Fisherman. And if you're wondering where the hook remover or disgorger, whatever you want to call it, is, on this style, they put it right there. Can you see that? They have this gap there. And to be honest, I've looked at that and I don't think it would work for me. But that's what they do, and they even tell you it's there. If you look, it says hook remover. And like I said, this is actually stainless, I believe. The big difference on this Fisherman is that it has a liner lock. You see that? It's a brass liner lock, kind of, if you're familiar with the electrician's knives, the tools on the electrician's knives use this very same locking system. It's just a brass plate that is bent like that, and you would just pull it back to release the blade. Never seen it on a single one like this. I don't know how common it is, but I was pretty excited to see that. You can see it has the yellow handles. It has brass liners and a nice solid spring on it. Very nice. The other thing is, and I didn't notice this until I started looking it up, I'm going to show you the tang stamp so that you can have a look-see at them. You see it there. And this particular tang stamp with that long line underneath Camillus, the whole word, and then it says New York, USA, which is the period of about 1960 to about 1976. So it's an oldie, almost the same age as me, which makes it even older than you thought. And on the other side, it does have a number, and if you look carefully, it says number 5. Okay, so if you want to look it up, you can look it up as a Camillus Fisherman number 5. I have some catalogs and other information that I found online. And here's a picture of it from the earliest catalog I could find that they have. And they have the Fisherman in there. And then I noticed that it said Fisherman Luck is what they call it. It's the Camillus number 5 Fisherman Luck. And I was looking at it and I saw, it actually says that on the handle on the picture. Well, if you look very, I'm going to see if I can show it to you there. You can barely see it. It's actually etched into the handle, but it's worn away. And I don't know if I can catch it for you. Let's see, there. You see there, you can just barely see it. And it says Fisherman's Luck. It's a pity it's worn away. I'm thinking I've got some nail polish here, and I'm going to put a little bit across there and see if we can get it into the divots. It's probably not going to work, but I'm going to give it a try. If I can leave some of it there so that you know it is there, that would be cool. This doesn't have a half stop, but it does have a lock. And as you can see, no snap. But that's pretty typical with this. And what happens is, to keep this working right, now this one is not too bad. It's almost dead center on the blade there, the way the lock works. And when you pull it back, you can release it. But the blade drags on this, and it's pretty common. And the idea is that when you get down here, the snap should be enough to close it. Well, we don't have that, which either means the spring's worn, or the blade is a little worn on the tang, or maybe it just needs some oil. So hopefully that'll fix it. You know, like I said, they're both in really good condition. They can do with a clean and a sharpen. And like I said, I wanted to make sheaths for them. Now, this is the picture I came across of the number 5 Fisherman's Luck. And you can see there it shows the sheath, and I read up on it, and it is the original sheath that came with it. So I went to digging in my leather pieces that I have, and I don't have much left. I need to get some leather going. I came up with these 2 pieces. Now, I'm thinking this one, which is pretty flexible for the actual Camillus Fisherman. I hope I can get it out of what I have here for this guy, and make the same sheath for the Tickler, this guy, but I'm going to use thicker leather, because this is probably more of a hunter, outdoorsman type thing, and you want a little bit sturdier sheath, but it'll be the same style. So let's have at it. So here we have the 2 knives, and I'm going to start with the Imperial. They're both in very good condition. So it's just basically going to be a clean, shine, and sharpen. I was reading about tang stamps and what the deal is on that. Basically, back in 1930, Section 304 of the Tariff Act, they implemented that everybody has to mark their products. It has to be indelible, permanent, by stamping or etching or engraving on the tang of the blade. So that was the requirement, and it had to say country of manufacturer. And it was for all cutlery, steels, forks, knives, you name it, you had to do that. And it had to be easily seen. So there you go. That is why on knives you have to have something that says where it was made. So the government could put the tariff on it if it was from a specific country. Let's get this guy cleaned up. We'll give it a shine. The blades are in really good condition, and they're not really sharp, so I'm not too worried about that. I will tape them when I will do the other stuff like the wells and things like that. So got to be safe. Remember, when you're doing this, you need to be safe. So let's get all the sandpaper together. I'm probably going to start with 1,000. Maybe 800 to 1,000 on the blades here to start off with, and let's see if we can get some of the scratches off. They're not too bad on this guy. Clean up the nail neck and the well and shine everything up. So I've got some 800 to 1,000 and 3,000 and 7,000 paper here that I want to use. But before I do that, I have got some white nail polish, and I think I want to put it on here so we can actually see the writing. Hopefully I can barely feel it. It might work, it might not. I want it to be really dry and set before I start working on it, so I'm going to do that first, and then we'll do this guy. I just got a paper towel and some isopropyl alcohol. I'm just going to give the handle a quick wipe, let it dry. Then I'm going to put a very light layer on it. I can just see where we'll be lucky if we get anything out of this, but hey, hope springs eternal. I don't want to put a lot on. I want a very thin layer. We'll let that sit for however long it takes us to clean that guy. Let's get on with this guy. What I'm going to support it, obviously, and I'm going to start with 800 to 1,000 and do the blade. You want to get into all these areas here. You can turn the blade like that, gives you more access. Do the bolsters, liners, and everything. So here we go. Don't have to press hard. I want to clean the nail nick here. They get a lot of goop in them. It's just build up. And I have here a set of Stanley Jewelers screwdrivers. These were sent to me by Rolf. Same mail call when I did that combo mail call. Now the cool thing is they're in different sizes, and with the smaller screwdrivers you can get in there and scrape them. They're also handy for cleaning the wells, although I prefer sandpaper. But you can use these, and the advantage is the different size wells, you have different size screwdrivers. So I'm just going to scratch out as much as I can here. Of the heavy stuff, and hopefully get it looking a little cleaner. Goop coming out. These little areas like here, underneath, on top, things like that, people tend to forget. So I'll scrape that out. Now what I normally do is get some regular sandpaper. I have some wet dry 600 here, and I'll just fold it a couple of times and then just use it to get into the groove. Just give it a rub, and hopefully it'll look a little cleaner. And it doesn't look as bad as it did before. And now we can get on with the rest of it. Back to the 800 to 1,000. Just takes a bit of elbow grease and off to the races. I go up and down like this. You don't have to press hard. You want to get into those nooks and crannies. I mean, if you have to, you can do this, as long as you finish off the same all the time. I prefer just to go back and forth and up and down. And can always lift the knife like this and put the tip in so you can get to the spine without catching the sandpaper. I just rock it back and forth. And here you can see 800 to 1000. Doesn't take a lot. You don't have to press hard. It'll clean it up pretty good. Now we're going to look at the rest of the steel and the handles and stay off of this with the heavier grit. If you need to, go very slowly and lightly because it will heat it up. You don't want to start melting this stuff. Now we're going to do the rest. We have a sharp edge here and tape it up. Have it taped up, and I'm just going to start along here. Now try to avoid the handle. And I found that the nice thing about foam, you can bend it over like that, gives you a little bit less of an edge, and just go slowly where you're going along the brass liners here. You want to try and stay off the plastic handle. You can see it starting to shine up. Now I just squeeze it like this and go very slowly along the spine. Don't press too hard. If you do that, you raise the spring here, and you can get to that spring. It doesn't take a lot, especially on the bolsters. A lot of bolsters are nickel silver, so they're fairly soft and easy to shine. Now on the bolsters, I just work across this way and try to stay off the handle. You can see it there. Underneath the ricasso here, you need to get in there. Once again, I use this. And this is where taping is important, because you're going to be going back and forth here. If you slip, you don't want to drag yourself across the blade. And there you have a nice, cleaner little gap in there. Now we're going to do the well. Same thing again, double your paper over. You can do both sides at once. You just get it all the way down, work your way back and forth into all the areas. Making sure that you're rubbing on the bottom as well. You want to get down to the bottom. You can make it a little bit heavier so you get both sides at once. And then, of course, your brass liners. Watch the handle. You can see. Let's get back to getting these bolsters done. And there you can see it's starting to really shine now. Now you've got pins here on the handle. You can do those Mothers and the 7,000 or even the 3,000 would be better. It's a little heavy for the handle. If you do very slowly, very lightly, you want to touch them up. We're going to be working through them. This gives you an idea of how it's going to look. They're very quick to shine. And you can see inside the well. And you've got a nice general cleanup, good start, really starting to shine. These knives will clean up very nice. So now we're going to go up from 800 to 1,000. We're going to go up to 3,000. And then, so I'm going to do the handle area first, and then I'll take the tape off and finish the blades. So now we're at 3,000, and if you look carefully here, you can see it's kind of scratchy. And then the deeper we get into this, the less obvious that becomes. Basically what you're doing is you're taking away the heavier scratch and making it smaller and smaller, and it gets harder and harder to see, and then Mothers smooths it out very nice. You can see it doesn't take a lot. And here you can see at 3,000. Now I'm going to go over it with the 7,000, and then I'll do the blade. Cleaning up nice. Let's put some paper down here, because when you start getting shiny like this, it doesn't take much to scratch it, and my work surface is a little rough. So just to stop it getting scratched. Here I have 7,000. Just double it over a little bit like this. Basically feels like rough paper. And we'll get to work on this. And here you can see how it's starting to get that. You can see a lot more reflection in it. Smoother. And that's 3,000. Going to do the blade now. So I've got my 3,000, and we rinse and repeat. Do the spine. So here we are at 7,000. Nice shine to it. Put this aside and we'll start on the other one. Need to have a look at that handle. Rub off that nail polish and see what we get. By the way, you can use the 7,000 on the handles very lightly, because this heats up very quickly. So when you do it, go slowly back and forth. You'll actually feel it heating up. But this will help it smooth it out a little bit, so that when you go to Mothers, it'll be even better, right? And there we are. Put it aside, start on the camellis. So here we have the camellis with our nail polish on it. This guy, I believe this is stainless, but I'm not sure. It's in really good condition. Love this knife. I'm going to rub this with 1,000 very lightly and try and work down and see what we have left. I'm not holding my breath on this one. This was something I just decided to try, and let's see what happens. Now you start rubbing with this, you want to go very lightly. Yep, it's what I thought. You can see some of it there, but it's just worn away. But I'm going to leave that on there so that you know it's there. Okay, let's clean this guy up. I'm going to go through it all and I'll show you the end result. So here we are here with the camellias. Nice. Cleaned up nicely. Blade has got a lot of scratches on it. You see that? Still cleaned up nice. Yeah, you can't see that. That's such a pity. I'm really bummed about that. Well, what do you do? So they're ready for mothers and sharpening now. So we're going to do that quickly and then we'll make sheaths. Okay, so I got some mothers here. This is the mag aluminum. And just knead a little bit and give it a nice rub all over. You don't have to press hard or anything. A word of warning, mothers warms up this stuff quickly. So be aware of that. And also, mothers is not food safe. So if you do this, you should wash it off in some warm water afterwards. If you're going to be using it for food stuff, it's a fishing knife. You need to wash it off. So here we go. And you can use it on everything. And you can see how quickly it takes that fine coating off. Be careful. Wasn't paying attention. I don't know if you can see it, but this is darkening along the edge here because I'm dragging the dirt from here to there. And if this is soft, you'll never get rid of it. And the thing about mothers is it really smooths out the shine. See that? Now, I'm going to make, if you look at the handle, it's okay, but I can make it shine by using mothers. Remember, this is plastic. Start with a clean piece. Just a little bit of mothers, and very slowly and lightly go over it. Avoid these because they will drag that dirt on. Now, mothers is probably going to hide the rest of that fisherman's luck, but what do you do? We ran out of luck. And there you are. They do clean up well, don't they? Beautiful knives. Very nice. Tickler. Texas toothpick. Let's oil them, sharpen them. So I'm just using a mineral oil. It's food safe. And you want to put it in around the bolster here where all the rubbing's going to be. You don't have to put a lot on. And then work it. Yep, we're not going to get that snap back because of the rubbing on here. That's a pity. And if you look closely, you can't really notice it, but the oil squeezes the bad stuff out of that, out of the bolster, all the grind and everything. Work it a little bit. You can see it up there. See how dark the oil is. We're almost there. You can see how it doesn't snap in, but it's getting there. Let the oil sit a little bit, and hopefully that'll get better. The same thing for this guy. Oh, yeah. Very nice. So there we are. Let's get him sharp. So here we have our two shiny and kind of sharp. One day I'll get it perfect. And now, time to make sheaths for them. If you look up here, this is the picture I found for the Camillus. Came with that guy. So, let's do that. So I'm going to cut some leather here. I'm just going to touch up my leather cutter. Too tight in there. Let me think about this. I have this piece of leather. It's an old cowboy sheath. And I'm wondering if that'll work. boss is here checking safety again. Allegedly. Watch your tail, I'll burn it. Silly girl. Well, that did not go well. I didn't have enough leather, and I tried to make 2 pouches to fit these guys. Don't do that. It was just too tight. The stitching, because of that, struggled with the stitching. And then I did silly things like that, which was silly. And the pouches they tight. The leather's going to stretch, but right now, this one comes out okay. This one, it's tight. I've got to stretch the leather. So I'll do that. But there you go. Not the best work I've ever done. So there you go, campers. Started off great. Here are the tooth sheaths that are not so much. I made all sorts of errors doing this. My measurements were wrong. I used this as a template where my measurements were wrong and made this one. This one's okay, but this, I didn't have enough leather and I made it too tight and it was a struggle. And of course, because of that, my stitching is not very good. And then I did things like that. And it's a really tight fit. The leather's going to stretch, okay? So they'll loosen up. Here's the Fisherman in this one. Put a belt loop on the back, and they only fit one way because of the shape. And like you saw, the original one was that way. The only difference is I didn't put any studs here. I just didn't have the room. And then this one, just a different leather, which is the Texas Tickler, and it's really tight in there. I've got to stretch the leather. It's difficult to get out. One mistake I did make, I should have made this lower to give more access to this. But I just need to stretch it. I stretched this one already, so it comes out, but not easily. So kind of not so great. The knives, however, turned out very well. They cleaned up really nice. Here's the Tickler, and you can see they shined up very nice. And this one is carbon steel, which made for sharpening to be a lot easier. I had no problem sharpening this thing. Love the handle on it, very nice, and of course it's that Imperial. It doesn't have a lock, it doesn't have a half stop or anything, it's just a straight Tickler. And then this guy, the Camillus. I tried to get the Fisherman's Luck on here, but it was just too worn. I couldn't get enough, and then when I cleaned it up, it took even more of it off. You can't even see. You can see a little bit there, but it's not enough to make it out. But I love this knife. This is a great knife. The main reason is it has a lock. You don't see that very often, and it's a single blade Fisherman. It is stainless, and to be honest, I really struggled to sharpen it. I can't get a clean edge on it. I need to work a little bit more. Maybe I went down to 1,000, maybe a little bit more, and strop it, or maybe just use, I don't know if a ceramic's going to help that much, but we can try that. I mean, it cut and everything, it'll do anything you need, but this is slicey. You wanted a nice clean cut, so very nice knife. Love this knife, and a nice add to my Camillus collection. The snap is iffy, but it closes. You know, if you pull it out and you let it go, it barely gets there. But, you know, they're old knives. This one, the snap is just unbelievable. So there you go. Fisherman and a Tickler. You all be safe out there. Cleaning these things, make sure you tape up stuff, be aware of the blades, you know the story. And when you make a sheath, measure twice, cut once. Well, that was half the reason, and I didn't have any leather, and I just used scraps, and I managed to make them, but not ideal. But they'll work. I just need to stretch the leather. It's not a problem. Leather will stretch anyway on its own. So don't forget, like, share, subscribe. You know the story. Pretty sure I'll be back. I've got some interesting projects coming up. Got this one here. It's unusual, and I really like the handle on this. It's an unusual knife, and it'll be a nice little project. So that'll be coming up next. So watch out for that one. Just saying. Thanks for watching. Always, always appreciated. And we'll see you again soon.